Hello and welcome. India has begun the process of choosing its next president. Some have chosen to call the post ceremonial, but in the 21st century, managing the aspirations of over 1 billion people and the diktats of a constitution is a tough job. How tough the job is? Who better to answer the question than Madam President Pratibha Patil ji? Today, as we sit and talk, how has been this transition for you? For it's such a long journey to be the president, perhaps which is totally protocol bound and also constitutionally bound. How has this journey been for you?
So this journey has been sometimes smooth, sometimes rough, and but I have walked through all these periods of my life for last 50 years, I think, in the service of the people of India. And I am quite satisfied with what I have been able to do. It's a long journey, but it was a difficult journey as well. But one has to overcome the difficulties and see that you proceed towards the aim and objective which you have decided for yourself. And my aim and objective was not to achieve any post, but it was for serving the people. And I think I have done that all through my life, when I was MLA, when I was a minister, when I was governor, and now when I am President of India.
You were a young 27-year-old MLA, and then as President we saw you take a leap from being the first woman President of India in a jumpsuit inside a Sukhoi. Which one is true Madam Pratibha Patil?
You see, a sortie in Sukhoi was really a unique experience. And when I was asked to take this sortie, whether I would do that, I said yes, why not? They said, Madam, you are quite fit and you may undertake this rather a venture. And I willingly did that. And many people asked me after that, were you not scared? I said, no, not at all. Because one should be always ready to face difficult situations and take risks also.
Were you
I have taken many risks in my life, and therefore I was quite pleased to accept that suggestion, and ultimately I'm happy that I could undertake that even at the age of 24.
But was it equally difficult, and were you apprehensive like the Sukhoi moment? Did you also think when you were given the ask, when you were asked to take over as the President of India? Because you initially, if you remember, the opposition was not very charitable.
That's true. I never had any desire, ambition or dream of becoming a president. But when you see I was asked to shoulder this responsibility, I said, all right, yes, I'll do that. But as you have said that there were some uncharitable remarks or whatever it is, that did perturb me, because all through my life during the 45 years of my service, I was not required to face this. This suddenly came. So I was a little bit hurt also. But nevertheless, after all, this is a democracy. People have every right to say whatever they want to. And therefore, I decided that I will act according to the Constitution and shoulder the responsibility and do my duties as the Constitution requires me to do.
There is a lot of talk about the utility of presidential tours, and for example, that why does a president need to go, why does a large entourage need to go? How do you perceive it after 5 years? Do you think you have been able to create some kind of a diplomatic legacy or been able to present India's case at the global platform?
Yes, this is a good question. See, there are three parts of your question. One is why these visits? Secondly, what is the benefit? What are the advantages of such visits? And thirdly, why President should undertake such visits? So far as why these visits? See, these visits have been in the context of the growing profile and growing political engagement and economic interactions in an interdependent and integrated world.
As India grows, you are saying?
That's true. And you see, India is a member of many important forums, IPSA, BASIC, BRICS. Recently a meeting was held where 5 heads of the state came, ASEAN and G20.
Yes.
Also, India seeks to have more and more engagement with ASEAN, European Union, African Union.
Yeah.
India is also having a strategic dialogue with many countries. India seeks to be a permanent member of the UN Security Council.
Yes.
India has been elected as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council and with a overwhelming votes. It doesn't happen automatically.
The question being asked is why should the president go?
Yeah. Now why the president should go? President doesn't go at his own or her will. Government gives a suggestion which places the president should visit, and they suggest the countries which the president should, based on some factors, based on some foreign policy. And you see, upon the suggestion and program chalked out by the government, president undertakes the visits. I visited Tajikistan and Spain, where never before Indian president had visited. I visited Laos and Cambodia after 50 years of presidential visit.
Does it have an impact? Does it have an impact that people of that country suddenly do escalate or heighten their attention to the trip if the president of India goes? Have you found that feeling?
Very much I tell you. Because they feel that government and particularly India has given them importance by sending their president here, the highest,
the senior most functionary of the government.
Senior most functionary of the government. And that, you see, enhances the bilateral relations, the friendship, and you can work closely with them.
Is it also that people-to-people interaction, business interaction,
so many things.
the president being there is as a stimulus in terms of creating better awareness among the people about India?
And that's very true. You see, president visits all the leadership there, the parliamentary exchanges are also there, because with the president, minister, member of parliaments and officials, high officials, they also accompany. This, along with this, of course, they feel that they are coming close to India. I have seen that there is lot of desire on many countries to come in close contact with India and develop their relationship. So this helps a lot in strengthening your bilateral relationship and creating a goodwill. I visited China, I visited UK, I visited Russia, which are the very important members in the P5, in the United Nations Security Council. I had been to, my first visit was to Latin America, and India seeks Latin America to be their important partner in the world. So that goes a long way in bringing these countries to, and this whole Latin American countries together. I have, as per our Look East policy, I have visited countries in Asia, and Africa is very important for us. So I have visited South Africa also now. So these are, you see, this is the impact. And you see, the people, they try to know more and more about India. And our people also come close. So for people-to-people contact and for development of relations in various sectors. Formerly it was only political. Now it's economic, it's tourism, it's educational, it's cultural. Many type, you see, sectors, they come together.
You mean to say that the dividends from a trip have gone up in terms of the kind of qualitative dividends which can be from a trip? If it is from the president, it gets better.
Of course.
Now, while we are discussing this entire business about...
And you, excuse my interruption,
yeah.
And then you mentioned that this is a ceremonial post. Yes, some people say it, I don't want to comment on it. But I would like to say that all these visits are organized in a all serious manner. A detailed program is chalked out, meeting the leaders, meeting the Indian community there, meeting the parliamentarians, the business community and the Indian community there. And when you see the discussions, a restricted meeting with the head of the state is held, there is, you see, the whole delegation sitting there along with both the presidents. Their external affairs minister. From here, one minister comes and the foreign affairs secretary is there, our secretary, my secretary is there, other officials are there. And the talks are held in all seriousness, and whatever transpires, that you see goes in their record, and follow-up action is done by both the governments. So it is with all the seriousness that the talks are held, and thereafter follow-up is also done. So people may say it is ceremonial, but then the visits are not ceremonial. They are very serious.
In your term as a president, could you emphasize yourself? Could you talk about policy issues to the government? Apart from that, on critical issues, did you, because you had said, if you remember your early interviews, there were two things asked, that Madam Pratibha Patil, are you a political president or a apolitical president? Your words were that you are a political president. After 5 years, do you say you have been a political president?
You see, when I was put up as a candidate for this, I was a political person. But after becoming the president, I become not a political, because president doesn't belong to then any political party. You have to, all are equal before you. Whether a person should have a political background or not, that's a different question. But after becoming a president, one becomes apolitical. But I can tell you, with my experience of 50 years in administration and government and working with the people, that has helped me in discharging my duties as a president of this country. And as you have said, whether you had any interaction with the government, this national mission for the socio-economic empowerment has come out because of my interaction with the government. And now recently, in the last year, the second meeting of the governor was held, where I again constituted a governors committee under the chairmanship of Mr. Shivraj Patil, the governor of Punjab. And it's a very big committee, so to say. There are many governors from northeastern region, because that region also needs attention, our attention. And that is, you see, for suggesting ways and means how we can improve the productivity of rain-fed farming. Rain-fed includes also dryland farming. Because in our country, 80% people and farmers, they are rent-fed farmers.
But how do you sum up your 5 years? Has it been tough? Lot of pressures? Is it a pressure job? Because outside there is an impression that it is a ceremonial job.
I think yes, over a period there have been a lot of expectations and a lot of aspirations of the people also, and particularly when I became the president, a woman first president, naturally all the women in country, they were very delighted, of course, and they also expected that something may happen for them. So when I took over, I thought that I must do something for the empowerment of women. And you see, a governor's conference is called by the president. And I, you see, appointed a committee of governors to go into the whole question of women empowerment. What should be done for that? There has to be some policy on the empowerment of women. You see, department and ministries doing on their own some activities, some schemes, that's all right. But there has to be some policy initiative in that will give a further boost up to the development of the women. Then you see, I discussed with the Prime Minister that see, this is necessary, their own reservations, whatever it is. So I think it would be good if a consensus is reached and some decision is taken about it.
As India grows, aspirations of 1.2 billion people, federal issues are coming to the fore. States saying that we should have more rights, center saying that this is where our rights are. Is there advice from the President of India?
I think our constitution is federal as well as unitary, and therefore according to the federal system, the states have the power. We have three lists: state list, central list and a concurrent list. So there has been a division of work and power which has been prescribed by our constitution. While doing so now, sometimes you see there is, this sort of, I won't say confusion, but aspirations of the states, whereby they feel that these are the matters which we only can handle or deal with. So I think in these circumstances, there should be a balancing between the role of the state government and the role of the central government in view of this larger interests.
You took over at a time when the economy was booming. 2007 was a good period. Now you are at a time, after 5 years, we find suddenly the economy is slightly faltering. Inflation is very high. A lot of states are having a lot of troubles. How do you view all this? Is there a sense of worry in the mind of the President of India?
Yes, there is of course worry, but only worrying won't help. You have to find solutions. You have said the economy is faltering. I don't totally agree in this respect, because in spite of the global financial downturn, it had effect on our country also. But then in spite of that, we were growing at the rate of 6.5%, because of course it is my government. I want that government should be very strongly doing its work, and but at the same time I think it is also the people of this country who should stand together.
From the Raisina Hill, how have you viewed this whole churning in the nation on the issue of accountability and corruption?
Yes, this churning has started, and it's not bad. It should happen, because there have been such issues of corruption, and those should be tackled, no doubt about it. But you see, at the same time, we have to see that the ill is removed, but the institutions are not hampered,
Are protected.
are protected. As I said before in one of my speeches, that if there are bad fruits on the tree, you should shake the tree to bring down the bad fruits. And if it comes into media, it will come.
Any unfinished agendas that during your president's rule which you would have liked to do?
My unfinished agenda, as I told you, is completing the report for the farmers, which will benefit 80% community of our farmers. And then you see, I was always talking about, and I feel very, very strong about it, and I am passionate about it, to remove the evils from the society. A child marriage, maybe child marriage, a female feticide, you see this addiction to different, maybe drug addiction, addiction to liquor or whatever. You see, that is spoiling, you see, the health of our country. So you will have to have very concerted and very well planned efforts to see that these evils are eradicated. And I have been talking about that at Rashtrapati Bhavan also, when the instances came to my knowledge about child marriage. You see, I called the girl who protested against that, and then I called her to Rashtrapati Bhavan. I encouraged her to do it. I said, you go to your friends also, other girls, and tell them that they should also protest. And it has impacted very well in the whole that area. The girls are, you see, become very self-confident, bold, and they go across and say that we don't have to have a child marriage. We will see when to marry, but first let us educate ourselves. So this is the atmosphere that is being created there. I called ladies from scavenger community who have been emancipated from that job. And then I called them to Rashtrapati Bhavan, and then I encouraged them. So also in this female feticide, I have attended many conferences. I had gone to Punjab and I addressed a very big rally there to stop all these practices.
It's amazing. Imagine that the girl child is being killed every day. Do you think something newer needs to be done on all these evils? How will it change? Because people have awareness, of course, but government's rules need to be implemented more strongly. Do you think somewhere the efforts of the government and the machinery and the apparatus has to improve?
Of course the apparatus has to improve, but now they are getting more and more conscious about it. And you see, what is needed is changing the mindset of the people. This has come, you see, from, the practice in our society. Treating a girl as less in her status than the boy. Why this? If you go into this question, it is because of the dowry system, and that has created such a adverse impact on the minds. And secondly, because you see, a girl while giving, because
as a liability,
is treated as a liability, and people think, why should there be a liability, so better get rid of that. Then
Pratibha Tai, Madam President, is going to go back to being Pratibha Tai.
That's true.
And you, any regrets of this period?
No.
Something you would like to change in these last 5 years shouldn't have happened?
No, I think a process has been started. A churning has taken place. It will at some time stop all these offshoots which have come out because of this churning process. But ultimately things will settle down. I remember, you see, one couplet from one Hindi writer, Lady Mahadevi Verma. She has said that आंधी आती है बड़ी जोर की आंधी, ऐसे लगता है कि सारी दुनिया उड़ जाएगी, पर कुछ घास और फूस के सिवा कुछ नहीं उड़ता, आंधी चली जाती है और दुनिया अपने काम में लग जाती है. So our nation will start its work again, become a peaceful, a peace-loving and a nation which has a very spiritual inherent power that will come again. So this is a process through which we are going, and in that you see everybody is being accused or some mud is being thrown, doesn't matter, but ultimately it will become, just see, settle down and everything will come clean and nice.
On that beautiful note, Madam President, thank you very much for speaking to NDTV.